Hello there guys, what is going on? Daniel Childs back here again for another show. Back in the SonOfChelsea studio for the first time in, wow, quite a while it feels like. It's the 1st of September, it's transfer deadline day, and yeah, as usual we've got something to speak about regarding Chelsea. We've got quite a bit to speak about. Cole Palmer, going to speak about Conor Gallagher, the future of him, Trevor Chalobah, Callum HudsonAdoi, and I guess just thoughts and feelings on the window. I may have to do another video later today. I'm actually travelling later today once again. It's been a little bit of a hectic week. It will calm down next week, so I'll be doing a lot more videos in this studio. But obviously, because it is transfer deadline day, had to make a video specifically about Cole Palmer, but also because of the potential sales we could be seeing from Chelsea and what that means, not only for the academy, but for Mauricio Pochettino's squad for the rest of this season. If you are new around here, please hit that like button. Really does help the show out. Also, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for your continued support on the channel. Even when I was out in Australia, and of course, the uploads haven't been as consistent as usual before I went out to Australia for the World Cup. Thank you so much for that. We're going to be getting back to regular uploads from next week. We'll start off with Chelsea's newest signing, Cole Palmer from Manchester City. This was a story that broke, I believe, around Wednesday afternoon, so before the AFC Wimbledon game in the League Cup, and Chelsea sort of closing in on that deal, making it happen. Mauricio Pochettino apparently sort of okayed the deal for the under-21 England international, and Chelsea pretty much got an agreement very quickly. Before even kick-off that night against Wimbledon, we sort of knew the deal was going to be completed, and now Chelsea have officially announced Cole Palmer on a 7-year contract with the option of a further year. Matt Law reports that the fee is around 40 million plus 2 million in add-on, so actually slightly lower than the original fee, and even around like 50 million, which apparently was what Manchester City were chasing. My feelings on this deal are a little bit conflicted. In terms of the player, I actually think very, very talented player. Someone who is electric when he gets going. I think is someone on the right who looks like he could be a real threat, whoever he's playing for moving forward, and someone who clearly has a lot of ambition in his career, because I think it would have been easy for him to sort of stay the course at Man City, and I wouldn't blame any player for staying at Man City given their consistent success. You're likely to win more Premier League titles, you're going to be probably playing in the latter stages of the Champions League, you're playing under the best coach in world football. But Cole Palmer clearly at this stage of his career feels like a change is needed, and he needs, to play more consistently. Some may question why you'd move to Chelsea given our chaotic kind of nature and the amount of competition for him, which is a part of this deal for me. But in terms of just the player and what you hear from Man City fans, I mean, there's a lot of Man City fans I know who are devastated by this news. I think it's kind of like what we feel when we see academy players go. Obviously, that's a part of it, but also because of the talent, and also the fact that Man City have lost some wide players this year. I mean, Riyad Mahrez, obviously comes to mind there this summer, who moved on. So maybe there's a little bit of concern from their part that they are losing maybe depth in a key position that could hurt them later in the season. I think my concern with this, right, is I think at the moment, because of the number of injuries that Chelsea have, I think it's very easy to just feel, we'll just get everybody in and we'll be okay in the end. And, for fans, I think most fans, if we're being kind of brutally honest here, aren't really concerned by individual pathways most of the time. If Chelsea is succeeding, and even if that means that some players' careers stall, I mean, at the end of the day, are Chelsea fans really going to care about that? I'm just being, again, honest here. Probably not. But I do have my concerns of buying a number of players in very similar positions of similar age who all need minutes. And I think Chelsea have fallen into this trap in recent years where I think the thing I sort of referenced on Twitter in recent days was Timo Werner, Callum HudsonAdoi, Christian Pulisic, where you have the left side of attack, you have players all needing minutes, all in a similar position. And sure, some of those players could kind of rotate. It's not, we know in modern football that players can play across a front line. It's not that like Cole Palmer, Noni Bedawake, Raheem Sterling couldn't play in a front line, right? If we play a 4-2-3-1. It's just over a period of time, I do wonder how much that actually helps players. And maybe in this situation, at this time in the window, a more experienced veteran who could have been okay playing a little bit more of a rotational role would have worked. There also is kind of the part of this that we'll get to when we start speaking about Conor Gallagher and Trevor Chalobah, where, with the sale of Lewis Hall recently and just kind of my feeling on what I'm seeing developing at Chelsea with FFP and kind of how clubs are incentivized to sell their academy products, right? Because it's pure profit and that helps you out. I do have my concerns that within a year or two, the academy players in the first team, I mean the ones we have developed from Cobham, will be very, very hard to find. And that's my one concern. Let's, again, be brutally honest. There are some of you watching this. There are some Chelsea fans who, couldn't, care less basically about whether there are academy players in the first team. I think that's a bit sad. I think it's a bit sad that clubs are incentivized now to sell players who they've developed, but I guess that's just the harsh reality, right? But I do think Cole Palmer's an exciting player. I think he's going to have a battle in his hands, not only from his former City teammate and now Chelsea teammate, Raheem Sterling, but also Noni Malawake, who I thought was brilliant, against AFC Wimbledon. I'm really excited to see how Noni develops. So I wish Cole Palmer the best. I think that hopefully everything, that's been said about him in terms of talent proves to be true at Chelsea, and he gives Pochettino a very exciting option that only strengthens our attack, which is what we want. We hope that Cole Palmer expands, not limits our options, which I hope he does over the coming years. So Conor Gallagher, Tottenham apparently weighing up a bid. It's hard to know at the moment because it is transfer deadline day, right? And knowing transfer deadline days as I have, as many of you have, it's so up and down, and it's kind of, I could be speaking here right now and nothing happens with Conor Gallagher between now and the deadline at like 10 or 11 o'clock at UK time. But then it could very quickly change. I would find it absolutely remarkable. I wouldn't be shocked if Chelsea sell Conor Gallagher, but I would be just very, very disappointed, and I'd think it'd be such a baffling move. Firstly, because of all the midfielders we let go earlier in the summer, whether that be Mason Mount, you could maybe put Kai Havertz in that bracket because of kind of the similar positions. Maybe Connor and Kai could have taken up in this formation. Mateo Kovacic, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, N'Golo Kante. We have, and Lewis Hall too, even though he's playing as a left back, we know he can play in central midfield. And Andre Santos, Cesare Casadei. We either on loan or permanently, we have let a lot of players go in that area. And Conor Gallagher has already proven to be a very, very valuable player to Mauricio Pochettino. Not that surprising if you look at the profile of Conor Gallagher, if you look at what Pochettino wants from players. I mean, we could have predicted that before a ball was kicked. But also the fact that he had the armband on Wednesday for his boyhood club, and then the fact that Chelsea still, because of dealings elsewhere, could let Conor Gallagher go. I just think, there's no, I tweeted this last night, there's no accounting jargon, there's no mental gymnastics, however much you want to try and justify it, that makes selling Conor Gallagher a good move. It in terms of value, in terms of squad depth, in terms of what that player means to the club, in terms of, again, selling another academy player who I think means something to fans. I don't think it would be a popular decision, and I don't think it would be a good one for Pochettino, who clearly likes the player because he keeps playing him. And I think it's the same with Trevor Chalobah. I mean, it's been difficult for Trevor, right? Because you add the baggage that it's been quite consistent that he's been linked away at Chelsea even before Pochettino arrived. And for him, I think it'd be an amazing move to go to Bayern Munich. I think he'd very quickly become one of the best centre-backs in the Bundesliga. And I do find it slightly ironic that Thomas Tuchel wants Trevor Chalobah now, because when he was at Chelsea, I mean, the way he treated him at times and the lack of game time, maybe now he views Trevor Chalobah experience because he isn't part of Bayern Munich's academy. That's another story. But Trevor is a valuable player for Chelsea. I think, he's proven that consistently. And I think even after returning to injury, even with Axel Disasi, even with Benoit Badiashile, even with Levi Colwill, Thiago Silva, I think Trevor has proven himself capable of really getting ahead and getting in the first 11, even if that is at right back. I think that's probably not going to be the case this season because we've got Malo Gusto, but again, it just feels like academy players paying for the failures in the transfer window elsewhere, and the fact that, say, Marc Cucurella, that deal for Man United isn't going to happen now, and the idea that even Ian Maatsen could be going, it's just, I think it would add a real sour end to, if I'm just being, if we look at the the whole sort of window, which has been a very long window, it has mostly been a positive window if we're looking at what Chelsea needed to accomplish at the start. Way back in May, even when we looked at this bloated squad, the number of players we've let go, the number of players we've brought in, or just key players and key positions. I felt that Moises Caicedo was probably, the top target. We got that done even for a ridiculous fee. Nicholas Jackson looks like a very, very good buy. Christopher Nkunku, unfortunately, that injury has obviously halted his season, but I think will prove to be a very, very valuable player, hopefully in the coming years for Chelsea. But it's just, I think it would end, the window in a very sour way. And I also think that, there are still question marks over this ownership in terms of, looking at the way certain fans have been treated, the away fans, the subsidy for away travel earlier in the week, which is conveniently being forgotten by some because now we've signed another player, but rightly getting criticism from the Chelsea Supporters Trust. And it looks like we have spent so much money, and I think Nazar Kinsella tweeted this today in terms of how much money has been spent on transfers. And, I think it's very, very rich to hear from Chelsea that, it's not financially stable. It's not, realistic to then help out your supporters. It's just from a PR move. I think it's just an own goal. And it's stuff like that just makes me feel kind of sour about the club. That's why I feel a little bit down on this deadline day, because it's just that kind of apprehension that Chelsea could be about to sell some very valuable players. And I just think it would leave a sour taste in the mouth. So I hope that they don't, because I could see Chalobah happening. And I think for his own career, I've always said this about Chalobah, I think probably he realises. And to be honest, it's a nice situation actually, because if he goes to Bayern Munich, that's an upgrade for his career. It's not a Kepa Arrizabalaga kind of failing upward situation where somehow you're getting a promotion despite not playing well. I actually think Trevor Chalobah will be getting a promotion to Bayern Munich, and I think rightly so based on his performance levels. But from a Chelsea fan point of view, I'd be sad to see him go, as it would for Conor Gallagher, as we've laid out. So we'll see how this transfer deadline day develops. I think that Cole Palmer obviously, takes up a lot of the headlines, and we'll see if he's ready for the Nottingham Forest game, because, he was doing his medical yesterday, even though they've announced it this morning. I would suspect he is going to be maybe included in the squad, or at least as made the deadline. As I'm recording this, we haven't even hit the deadline, I think, for squad registration for the weekend. So hopefully Cole Palmer could even be in the squad against Nottingham Forest. So there we go. Those are my thoughts. Just one other quick thing. Callum HudsonAdoi, we've expected this, his departure from Chelsea. Looks like he's now going to be moving to Nottingham Forest. Really like Callum as a player. I think he's had a mixture of some bad luck, at times bad decision making, not just on his part, but in terms of on the pitch, maybe performance level, but also I think and Jay McIntosh is someone who I give credit here, because I do think Chelsea probably should have sold Callum HudsonAdoi. Actually, I know it's very easy in hindsight to say this right now, but maybe back in 2019 or 2020, and the way maybe we committed our future to him, but then didn't really give him the platform to succeed as much. He was consistently in and out of the team, and then goes to Bayer Leverkusen, doesn't set the world alight, and it's kind of bizarre to me that the fee that Nottingham Forest are paying for him is stupidly low. I still think there is a very, very talented player there. I think there is a talent there who I think with a more consistent level of game time, and the fact that he is still young, he has still got years to go. I think people forget how young Callum HudsonAdoi still is, despite the fact he's been around for a very long time, and we've been speaking about him for a very long time. It's I hope it's a good move for him under Steve Cooper. I have a previous working relationship with the England under-17, so I think that's a decent move for him, Premier League football, and wish Callum all the best. So those absolutely are my thoughts now. You can follow me on X, on Twitter, whatever you call it nowadays, at SonOfChelsea, and I will see you again very soon. All the best.